Find somebody, okay? Nobody asked you.
Simon, is that one of those things that come down so you can take pictures in front of it? Show me the one of the carousel.
Yeah, and I think Sviakov's frozen.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me?
He's in the freezer in liquid.
Now we heard you when you asked that. Can anybody hear me? We heard that.
Oh, because I asked it about 10 times and clearly nobody could hear me. I'm still frozen?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go.
Well, we heard you. We're hearing you. We're hearing you. We're not seeing you. We're hearing you.
Yeah. So let me go to where it's a little better service.
By the way, Tiago, where is this wedding?
Lakewood Theater, the new hall.
Who's
Lakewood
wedding is
Theater.
this?
I haven't seen him in a long
Where
time.
the dinner was or no?
Yeah.
That's where the dinner was?
Yeah.
Where the dinner was, yeah, but the ladies' dinner.
Oh, jeez. All right. If you have the address, text it to me, please.
Why, Tzviaka, what's going on tonight? Who's getting
Just
married?
put in Lakewood Theater, that's all. Lakewood Theater. Put in Lakewood
David.
Theater.
Oh, you also are in David Street. Yeah.
Sat Sanical.
Right.
Can you see me now?
Sounds like that
No.
Verizon commercial.
No.
Can you hear me now?
Still can't
Aaron,
see?
we all knew that. You didn't have to say it. We all knew the same
No
commercial.
picture, but the sound is pretty solid.
Okay. Hold on, I'll try and log it off. And then, Okay, where are we up to anyway? Anything better now? Better now?
We see you now, yes.
I don't know which device to use. Hold on. Okay, I'll just stick on the phone and that's it. Okay, where did we get up to yesterday? Oh, we got up to the second line down. Right? That's what we're up to?
Where?
Yeah.
What the?
Nun Hayom at Aleph, right? Meitzveh, third line down. I think that's what we got up to. Yeah, because we said that we need two heckers to know that everybody should know that it's Rosh Chodesh. Right? There's two heckers. One that they put the korban for the Rosh Chodesh at in a different spot on the ramp. And the other one was that when there's the yomim of Shabbos that falls on Rosh Chodesh, Rosh Chodesh falls on a Shabbos, so they do the yomim of Rosh Chodesh first, even though we should say Todir. Right, but we don't say Todir because we want everybody to know that it's Rosh Chodesh, so that's what we do, the yomim for Rosh Chodesh first. Right? So, okay, so now the Gemara goes back to the previous shita of Rav Acha. So Rav Acha held that every korban mussaf that gets added, they blew more tekiyas, right? They blew more sounds in the shofar. So if there was Rosh Hashanah and Rosh Chodesh and Shabbos, they would blow a lot more koilos because there were three mussafim. The Gemara is going to slug that up now and say that's not the halacha. So Meitzveh, Tani Rava Bar Shmuel. Rava Bar Shmuel learned Yocho Kishem Shetoiken Al Shabbos Atma Rosh Chodesh. After you taken al kol mussaf for mussaf, you would think that just like you blow on every for Rosh Chodesh by itself and for Shabbos by itself, so same thing you would blow for every single mussaf. So because it says for Rosh Chodeshim and then on the Rosh Chodesh, right? Meaning you only are going to have on Chodeshim is plural. So for Rosh Chodeshim, you're still only going to blow the same amount of koilos, right? Even though there's multiple months, right? Meaning it's not really multiple months, it's multiple korbanos. So Tiyuf to the Rav Acha. So you see from this brisa that it's very clear that you only blow one set of tekiyas whatever, tekiah, true tekiah, for all the korban mussafs. So tiyufta, so that we slug it up. So my Talmuda, how do we know this? So meaning, how do you know from the pasuk of Rosh Chodesh? So Amar Abaye, Amar Ko over Rosh Chodesh says on the beginning of your months, Hukshu Kol Chadashim Kulam Zelazeh. We compare all the months to each other, meaning just like on a regular Rosh Chodesh, you only blow one set, so it doesn't make a difference if Rosh Chodesh falls on Rosh Hashanah together with Shabbos and there's multiple mussaf. We don't care. It's still you're only going to get one set of tekiyas for every korban mussaf, and that's it. That's one way. Rav Ashi Amar, he learns a different way from the pasuk. Ksiv chad sheichem, right? It's missing the yud. Notice how the Gemara spells it differently in this one. But it's missing the yud. So ksiv chad sheichem, uksiv over rashe, and it says rashe in plural. So how come you're writing over again? The pasuk is over rashe chad sheichem. Rashe is plural. Chad sheichem is spelled without a yud. So ve'ezeh chodesh yesh lo shnei rashim, which is the month that has two heads to it? Havayomer is Rosh Hashanah. That's Rosh Hashanah, right? Meaning Rosh Hashanah is also Rosh Chodesh. It says Chad Sheichem, only one set of korban mussaf. So you see that on Rosh Hashanah, even though it's Rosh Chodesh, we only blow one set of tekiyas for the korban mussaf, which is it's a big tumult in the Paiskim. Not really in Paiskim so much, but how come in davening we don't really, in the Rosh Hashanah davening, that's the Olam in a week from now, but the Shem, you try and check it out. How come this doesn't, it mentions it very agav, the Rosh Chodesh. Right? The bottom line is it's Rosh Chodesh, right? It doesn't seem like Rosh Chodesh gets any sort of attention.
Because Rosh Hashanah
Right?
trumps it.
Correct, but Lamais, it's still Rosh Chodesh. They still have to bring all the korbanos from Rosh Chodesh. What do they bring? 14 korbanos on Rosh Chodesh or something? Right? So you needed to bring all the korbanos from Rosh Chodesh. I think in the davening it says Milvad. I think it says it once, Milvad. I didn't check it today. You think I should know it, but I don't. Yeah. So but that's what this is saying here. That clearly we're just going to treat it as one, not two. Fine. Tanya. Then we learned another verse of Chol Shomayir. On Chol Moed Berishon Mahayoy, meaning what songs, what extra songs did they sing? Right, every Yom Tov had its own song. So B'Chol Shemayir Berishon Mahayoy, on the first day of Chol Moed, what they sing? Havul Hashem B'nei Elim. Right, that's from Kabbalah Shabbos. Right, B'Sheni Mahayoy for LaRasha Omer Alikim. And Rashi goes through why all these shirim were shirois were done for each specific day. B'shlishi ma'ayam, on the third day, he said, Mi yokum li imireim, right? Who's going to go up for me against the people that hate me? B'revi'im ma'ayam, binu bayarim ba'am, right? You should understand the people, the fools. B'chamishi ma'ayam, on the fifth day, hasiroisi misevel shichmai, right? I removed from the what do you call it? He removed the weight from his shoulders. And all the foundations of the earth are going to be shaking. And if Shabbos falls on one of those days, you might do Yitcha. We're going to push off you might do. Right? Okay, whatever it is. Rav Safra, Manafu Simona, and Rav Safra said a siman. Rav Safra said a siman hamuvhi. Right? So it's hey vav mem beis hey yud. Rav Papa Manafu Simona. Hum havi, right? He gave a different siman. It's hum havi simonach, and the siman to remember the simonim, which is quite interesting. They gave simonim so that you remember which ones you go for, right? Like havu b'nei elim, then l'rosh amar alikim, miyakum, right? So each one gave their own. And Rav Papa obviously disagreed, and he switched the day from the fourth and the fifth day shir. He switched. You have a Machlokes. The simonech and the siman to remember who said one is amvuhi de sifri. Amvuhi de sifri means a like an army or a group that's from a sifri is from a teacher, right? So what does that tell you? That Rav Safra says amvuhi, so that Safra is close enough to sifri. Whatever it is, right? So you say what the point from this whole brisa was that when Shabbos falls out on Chol HaMoed, right, you take away the song from Sukkos. The Sukkos shir, the shir from Sukkos goes away. You only sing the one from Shabbos, right? So again, you see if you're not doing separate shiurim, then you're not going to do tekiyas either. So new tekiyas. So it slugs him up. Fine. So then the Gemara asks the kasha, how can you slug him up? For Rav Acha bar Chanina, who was an Amoira, right? Krohu masnisa kamar. He didn't say it on his own. He brought a pasuk that says that you're going to add every time you add another korban mussaf, meaning if there's another added yomtiv, you add on more tekiyas. And he brought a pasuk and he brought a brisa. So how can you just slug him up? So Ravina loymar she marichin betekiyas. What it meant is that what he meant is not that you blow more tekiyas. What you do is instead of blowing a tekiya that lasts 3 seconds, you blow a tekiya that lasts 5 seconds. Right? Right? Which Rashi basically says is that you keep blowing the shofar until they finish pouring the water and the wine. Right? And Rabbana de Kesari, Mishmei de Rav Acha, Amrit Loimer Shemar B'Taykin. Not that they lengthen the tekiyas. So what they do is they get more tekiyas to be more shofars. Right? Meaning, let's say they did with 3 people blowing shofars, so then they added on, because whenever there was an added yom tov, so then they added on a few more people that blow shofar. Yeah? Now they want to ask a very interesting kasha that has a lot of ramifications in halacha l'maisa. Alright, so us that we live in Chutz La'aretz, so we have 2 days Yom Tov. How do you sing the shir? Right? Meaning the first day Chol HaMoed, which shir should you sing? Of the second day of Yom Tov, or the first day? First day Chol HaMoed, right? Which one should you? Meaning every day is a Sfeika de Yoma. So how can you do these shiras during Chol HaMoed? Right? If you do like the way it is in eretz yisroel, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's not the first day. Maybe it's still Yom Tov. Right? If you do the one from Chutz La'aretz, so maybe meaning you're stuck. Which we mentioned the kasha. Like, how do you know? Why don't we count 2 days sfira? Right? Why don't you count 2 days sfira? And so we said because it's a sfira to Yom Tov. But whatever it is, you're going to have the problem with the shir on Chol HaMoed. So Abaya says, you just push off the second day, right? Meaning because you can't say it on the second day, because how do you know which one it is? So we just skip the second day, and therefore, and we just skip the yom from the second day, not the yom, like the shir. And Rava Amar Shvi Yitzcha, no, the 7th. Once you're up to the 7th, then you push off the 7th day. Okay, so that they each one say that you just have to push off 1 day. Tani Kava say the Rava, and Chal Shabbos Liyas the Echad man, you might do Yitzcha. So we have a proof to Rava, right? That he says that if Shabbos falls on one of them, you push it off. What's the proof? Yeah. Right, so asking Amemar, I'm sorry, no. So Tani Kava say the Rava, Chal Shabbos Liyas the Echad man, you might do Yitzcha. So you push off, you might do. All right, so therefore, since you push off you might do, so then you see that there is that concept of skipping things. Asking Amemar, ben Ardar de medalgi deluge. So this what he says is that they what they do is they should jump forward but jump backwards. Meaning, what they did is on the 3rd day of Chol HaMoed, they said both days. They said the 2nd and the 3rd day. Right? Meaning, so they did a misafik, and on the 4th day they did the 3rd and the 4th day, and on the night so on and so forth until the 7th day, and they did the 6th and the 7th. So okay, so what does this have to do with us? The bottom line was that did anybody here ever pay any attention to the Chol HaMoed Kriyas HaTorah? So the way it's Rashi in the bottom, Rashi says it. Also, how do we lane? So it's actually Machlokes Mechaber Ramah.
Jacob, you mean besides Ka'ela?
Besides for Ka'ela, yeah, no, Ka'ela Ka'ela is on Pesach.
I know, it's Ka'ela
is on Pesach. No, you're right. It's Chol Hamoed Pesach. So the way it goes in the laning on Chol Hamoed Sukkos is you lane the first 3 aliyahs. You lane, the 3 days, which Rashi says doesn't make a difference because the first 3 aliyahs are not special for Yom Tov. The 4th aliyah is special for Yom Tov. So the 4th aliyah for every day Chol Hamoed goes back, and we say the day of the korbanos from the day before and that day, right? Because of the sake of the yomim. That's the way to call Chol Hamoed laning. If you open a siddur and look in the back with the Chol Hamoed laning, you'll see that the first 3 aliyahs is a couple of days, and then the 4th aliyah we go back and lane the previous day and that day, and that's the cover for the sake of the yomim. And that's the way we pass it. So it's similar. It's similar to what the Gemara is saying over here. Okay, fine. Now we're back to like Yuma type Gemaras, Yuma Kodshim, that type of thing. So Zok the Mishna, right on to Nun Hayam Beis. Yes, the Yom Tov Rishon Shochag, right on the first day of Sukkos. How Yisham Yud Kimel Parim, they would bring 13 cows, Elim Shnayim, 2 rams, Seir Echad, 1 goat, right? Nishtay Rusham Yud Dalet Kvasim L'Shmayna Mishmaret, and what's left over is the 14 lambs for the 8 mishmaros. So basically there were 20. Let's do as Aktama, right? There's 24 mishmaros, right? There's 24 sets of kohanim that they set up that throughout the year, each one got a week. And they were in charge, and they ate all the korbanos from that year. But for Yom Tov, for that week, and then for Yom Tov, they all for Yom Tov everybody got to share in the Yom Tovim, meaning it didn't go according to the order that they were in. So there were a whole lot of korbanos brought on Sukkot. Basically, they started with 13 parim on day 1 and went down every day, and all the other korbanos stayed the same. So it was 13 parim on the first day, 12 parim on the second day, and so on going down. But everything else stayed the same. So every day there were 14 what do you call it? What's a keves again? A lamb, right? Yeah, keves is a lamb, and there was 2 goats, 2 rams, and 1 goat, right? So whatever it is, they split those up. So how many korbanos was that altogether? So for the first day it's 13. Plus 2, that's 15. Plus Seir is 16. So it was 30. Right? So what happened was yeah.
What is the big deal about this? Because that's that's a chiyuv for the tzibah to bring. So that's why they wanted to get it. What is? They were bringing hundreds of thousands of animals every day, Sukkos.
Right. So you're saying that there should have been enough for everybody?
Unless because this is the tzibah's korbanos people are excited about it. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Otherwise.
Right. I don't know. I don't know what the pshat is. I think they just wanted the kohanim to be able to participate in the Yom Tov properly. I don't know. That's what I think.
How many? There's 25,000 kohanim.
I have no idea. I don't know what are the numbers.
Aaron, how many were you? From was it 20 to 50, 30 to 50? What was it? 20 to 50?
That's the number I heard. 24th, yeah, something like that.
So you can't split up 13 korbanos to 24,000 people. It doesn't work too well.
So what do you say?
Yeah, okay, but these are the numbers. These are the korbanos tzibur.
That's right.
These are the korbanos tzibur. You're really talking about the korbanos from the Yachid.
Okay, it's the korbanos tzibur. Fine. We'll leave it that way. It's fine. Okay.
No, you're right. That why can't all the korbanos yachid are not enough for the kohanim, right? Okay, I don't know. Whatever it is, so they had, there was besides for the kvasim, there was 13 parim and 2 elim and 1 seir, so that's 16. right? So that there were 24 mishmaros. So each mishmar got to do one of those animals. Then you had eight mishmaros left, because 16, right? And 24 minus 16 is 8. So you had 8 mishmaros to split 14 lambs. That's basically what comes. So b'yom rishon shisha makrivim shnayim. On the first day, 6. Each one brought 2. That makes 12. Ashar echad echad, and the other 2 mishmars brought 1. B'sheni chamisha makrivim shnayim shnayim. Ashar echad echad. 5 brought 2, and the left and the one each one brought 1. B'shlishi daled makrivim shnayim. On the third day, 4 brought 2. 2. Vashar echad echad, and the rest brought 1. The Revi shloisha makrivim shnayim. 3 brought 2. Vashar 2 each, meaning Vashar echad echad, and the rest brought 1. B'chamishi shnayim makrivim shnayim. Only 2 brought 2 animals each, which is 4. Vashar echad echad, and the rest each brought 1. B'shishi echad makriv shnayim. 1 gets to bring 2 animals, 2 kvasim. Vashar echad echad, and the rest 1. Shvi kulon shavin, and on the 7th day, right? So there were, meaning because there were 14. Again, the reason why it was going down is because there was 1 less bull that's brought every day. So then there was more leftovers. Again, on the first day there were 13 bulls brought, plus the other 3 korbanos. So that's 16. So that's 16 mishmaros. On the second day there was only 12 bulls. So therefore there were 9 mishmaros left to split up the kvasim. So it kept getting more and more as the days that there were more and more kohanim available, mishmaros available to do the sheep. But once you hit the 7th day, then everybody was equal, so each one got 2. Each one got 1. Each one offered 1, did 1 korban. The Shmini, but how about Shmini atzeres? Chazu l'payas kiberegalim. They went back to regular Yom Tif and they raffled it off. They didn't share with each mishmar. They raffled off to see who would get to do it. Amru misha hikra parim hayom layakrav l'machar. Somebody, whoever brought the parim today, should not be makriv it tomorrow. Meaning they should rotate through this whole thing. There should be a rotation. Al-Chayzun Khalila, what they did is they go around in a circle. All right, so that's basically the way they spread it out. The Gemara says, "Name a masnisa and Rebbe v'lo Rabbanon." Let's say the Mishnah is going according to Rebbe, not the Rabbanon. Meaning the Mishnah says that Shmini atzeres was a do-over and they started from scratch. Is going to Rebbe, not the Rabbanon. The Tanya Para above the Shmini, that the par that was brought on the 8th day, the Tchila Mefaisin Alav. They do a new raffle. I remember from Yuma there was a raffle and then they got into fights, so they changed it, whatever it is. But they had a new raffle on Shmini atzeres. Tivei Rebbe, that's what Rebbe holds, which is like our Mishnah. Achas mishtei mishmaris the lo shileshu b'parim oisa. The 2 watches, meaning the 2 mishmaris of kohanim, that didn't get to have a 3rd time bringing the parim, right? Because it went around in a rotation, right? So there was 13 parim, then 12, then 11, then 10. So if you go through the whole calculation, there's going to be 2 mishmaris that didn't get to bring the bulls 3 times. So he says, so the Chachamim say they get to deal with the one on Shmini atzeres. Whatever it is, you see, it's not a new raffle. It's all based on the previous one. So it answers the people say Rabbanon. You can see even they say it's Rabbanon otu shtei mishmaros lo yafusei boy. Don't the two leftovers, don't they have to have a raffle? Who gets to bring the Shmini atzeres korbanos? So Mamelo, that's what he means by doing a new raffle. It doesn't mean that a new raffle for all the kohanim. The 2 mishmaros that didn't get to bring the par 3 times, they start again. So the Gemara says, "Come on, Ozla had the Tanya kol mishmaros shoynes u'mishalshalos." All the mishmaros go have a 2nd time around and a 3rd time around, meaning with the parim. Chutz mishnei mishmaros shoynes v'le'em mishalshalos, except for 2, the group of 2 that don't end up having a 3rd chance to bring the parim. So name a Rebbe v'lo Rabbanon. Why don't we say that that's Rebbe, not the Rabbanon? The Gemara said, meaning because again, Rebbe is the one that says that you start a new pious. What does it mean that they didn't have a 3rd time? They didn't have a 3rd time with the parei hachag, but they will have a 3rd time with Shmini atzeres. All right, at least one of them will have a 3rd time with Shmini atzeres. Well, my kamashon, what's the chiddush? Meaning, what are you trying to teach us here? Right? I could do the math. You could do the math yourself and figure that out. Like we said before, whoever's the one that gets to bring the parim today doesn't bring it tomorrow. You go around and you go around and around to make sure that nobody gets too much.
See, how do they decide?
Too many korbanos.
How do they
Where'd
decide?
They pick it up? Where'd they start from?
Meaning, meaning right, exactly. Like, who decides what day? I mean, I don't know if there's a more chashivas to the avodah that's brought on the first day, but like, let's say a mishmar wants to do a particular day. How do they decide who does what?
Right, I hear.
There's no pious.
I don't know. They must have had some sort of raffle to start them off, no?
But I'm saying, but it seems like they're trying to avoid the idea of pious, right? There's no raffle. There's only a raffle for these people to decide. Or is there a pious? It's not a pious where somebody loses, because at the end of the day, you're going to get it. They can't raffle it off, really,
right,
because you're raffling off an order. You can't really raffle it off because you have to make sure once somebody does it today, he's not doing it tomorrow.
I'm assuming that's the way it worked. I'm assuming the way it worked in Yuma, where we said they held out their fingers and they started from one and then they went around in a circle.
But tomorrow they can't do that because they have to make sure the person. They have to make sure nobody does it more than twice.
No, 22 of the mishmaros are going to get it a third time. 2 are not.
Right, but
that's how it goes.
If it's potluck, then you can't. You're not even going to have 22. If every day they're doing something. If every day they're doing this, then your luck is the same every day. They can't have it that every day.
No, but if you start day one, you start from this, and then you go around and around.
And the next day you remove them. Like I don't understand. They're not part of it. The next day,
yeah.
You have like
I don't know. I thought that's what it was. Okay, so let's see. The Summer of Eliezer. So this is a famous Gemara Agadata here. Tani Shivim Parim Keneged me. So because there ended up being 70 Parim who brought, right? First day 13, second day 12, second day, third day 11, so on and so forth. It comes out to 70, right? So Keneged me, what was it? Keneged Shivim Umas. It represents the 70 nations, right? There were 70 nations. So there's a kapara, right? There's a kapara for everybody in the world, because the bottom line, Sukkos is all about davening for rain. So they want the whole world to get a kapara like this. Maybe Hashem will make it rain, and then ultimately the Yidden will be gained from it. The par yechidi lama. So then, okay. So if that's what the 70 parim are in for Sukkos, so what is the par yechidi? What's the one for Shmini atzeres? Come from Keneged Uma Yechida. It comes to the one nation, which is obviously Klal Yisrael. Mashal Melech Basar Adam. It's a mashal to a king, a human king, Shamal Avadav. He says to his servants, Asali Suuda Gedaila Liyayim Acharon. Make me a big Suuda for Yayim Acharon. Amar La'ayavai. And he said to the ones that he loves, Asali Suuda Ketana, make me a small meal, Kadesha Enam Imchasa. I should be able to get Hana from you. Right? Meaning he wants to be able, Rashi says, Hashem wants to just get a small little private meal between his chosen nation and himself. That's what Shmini atzeres is. So Yochanan Aylahem Live the Kacham Sha'avdu Vein Yoidin Masha Avdu. It's sad for the Live the Kachavim who lost things and they don't even know what they lost. This man Shabbos Hamikdash Kayim Mizbeach Bechaper Alein, right? The Mizbeach, as long as the Mizbeach was around, then they would get a kapara from Sukkos V'achshav. And now that they destroyed the Beis Hamikdash, mi mechaper aleim. Who's going to be mechaper for them? So you see that the goyim are also going to suffer from not having the mizbeach. Okay, so fine. Right. The b'shloisha, then the Mishna says b'shloisha prokem b'shana, 3 times a year you call mishmar Shabbos, like we've been saying. Really, you would think that this Mishna should be before the previous Mishna, right? Because we started. This Mishnah describes for us that the mishmaros, each one gets a new mishmar, right? And then the Gemara should said the next Mishnah. Okay, some of them are partial asked this kasha, and now we're first describing the mishmaros. Anyway, so b'shosh b'ragam mishana you call mishmar Shabbos. All the mishmaros are equal. Be'emurei haragalim, right? They're all equal with the emurim of the regalim, which is the obvious question. What are emurim? Are fats that are burned in the mizbeach? That doesn't go to kohanim. Right, so Gemara is going to say a big skiddush what that means. And with splitting up the lechem aponim from Shabbos, right? Because every Shabbos they split, the incoming set of kohanim and the outgoing set of kohanim split the lechem upon them, right? But on the Shabbos of Yom Tif, then they changed that. Everybody, all 24 mishmaros got to split the lechem upon them of Shabbos and Yom Tif. But atzeres and on Shavuos, Omer loy heilech matzah heilech chametz. They would say, here, take your matzah, which is the lechem upon them, and heilech chametz, and take the shtei alechem, and they would give it out to everybody. Fine. So meaning, so 3 yomim tovim, there were no different, we didn't go along the order of mishmaros. Everybody got to share. Mishmash is manik kavua. So, and the one whose man came out to Shavuos, who makriv tamidin, is makriv the korban tamid, nedarim and nedavas, right? Nedarim and nedavas, v'shar korbanos, tzibur and the other korbanos tzibur. So meaning, to the basic stuff, the regular mishmar did. Well, makriv esakol, and he's makriv everything, right? Meaning that mishmar, meaning, so the mishmar that whose turn came out to be on Shavuos did take care of all the basic stuff, but the special korbanos, that was split amongst all the kohanim. So when it says what are you saying? Emurim, that they're burning it on that gets burnt on Mizbeach. That's shogavaya. It doesn't mean emurim the way we said it, that we understand it as fact. It means all the korbanos that are said in the Torah about having to bring on Yom Tif, that's what you have. That's what emurim mean. Meaning all the korbanos that are mentioned in the Torah, those are all split amongst the kohanim, but doesn't mean emurim, because emurim, the classic translation of emurim means that goes up on the mizbeach. Okay, so Tana Rabbanan, where do we know that all 24 mishmaros are taka equal in whatever all the korbanos of Yom Tov? It says, and you come with whatever it is whatever your nefesh wants, and you're going to serve. Right? Yochol af b'shar yimatzashon. Okay, so it's on Yom Tif. When you come on Yom Tif, then you can bring every kind of kohen can get benefits. So you think Yochol af b'shar yimatzashon. Okay, maybe that means the whole year round. If a kohen wants, he can get part of the korbanos. Tamalaymer. So it says in the pasuk, me'achad sharecha, from one of your gates or cities. Lo yamarti ela b'shasha kol yisrael nechnasa b'shar echad. The only time I said that every kohen can be part of the korbanos is when all of Klal Yisrael is going through the gates of Yerushalayim, and that's the only time that is in Yom Tov. When Gans Klal Yisrael is coming up on the Shalosh Regalim, that's when the kohanim, all the kohanim, could participate in things. But Stama and any other time when the whole Klal Yisrael is not in the base of Mikdash, and they can't participate. Okay, fine. We'll stop here, and that's it. One more block, Bezos Hashem to Sukkah. And then on to Beya. Okay, fine. Have a good night, everybody.
Shikoyach.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What is on the Darim and the Davis in the Mishna? How can they bring the Darim and the Davis on Yom Tov?
Oh, yes, this is bothering me, this kasha. What was the teretz? I found the teretz. I don't know. What was the answer for that? Like, how can you bring the Dharma and Davos on Yom Tif? I don't. Could it be that just the regulars in the Dharma and the Davos from its Mishma?
Still can't bring it on Yom Tov.
Ah. Is the answer ready?
Yeah.
It's on?
That first answer.
Ah, shoot. Okay. Yeah, what are you saying? You got now maybe I get to eat something. I'm starving. I thought I was at the end of the day. Now I'm stuck here for a much longer time. Okay, there's worse places to be stuck. Yeah.
Where are you?
I don't know. Does it? Lakewood.
There's any number of places to eat there.
That's true, but not free.
No.
So, but the problem is if I don't dance and it's an enemy to the husband, then it's a problem. So,
Yaakov, you're not missing much.
That's true. At this point, I'll take anything that doesn't move.
The stuff you get at the gas station, Lakewood, might be better.
That's true. You're probably right. Anyways, could it mean that the Nadarim and the Dovas of the Nadarim and the Dovas of that week, not on Yom Tov? Meaning, don't think that Mishmar loses its whole week. It gets its whole week, just not the Yom Tov korbanos. It has to.
So this line of the Mishnah has nothing to do with Yom Tov itself. Because the Mishmaros came for the whole week, we have to deal with the whole week. So Mamelo, everything in that week was theirs. Yom Tov went to the mussaf and went to all the Mishmaros.
That's what I think, but I don't know. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go inside.
All right, Shikayach, enjoy.
All right, you coming in for Rosh Hashanah, Gershon?
It's Hashem. So I'm a little bit upset it didn't end up being Erev Yom Tov.
I know. Yeah.
I'm not with Yaakov. I'm
hear
gonna
that.
miss it also. I'm in Chicago this
Why?
weekend.
Where you going?
I'm in Chicago this weekend.
Serious?
I'll be back Sunday.
Oh wow.
Okay. Well. Okay. Maybe we should reevaluate.
Reevaluate.
No. For all the
Right,
people
Akiva, you
that always
I'm,
miss, it's not like
Akiva, you would come Erev Yom Tov to get out
To
of
where?
the fast? See him.
Why don't you
we
make
do
a
it Sunday?
Siyum, Taka Gershon? I'll come to
Why
the
not
Siyum.
Sunday night?
I'll come to the Siyum.
Yeah?
Why can't we make
Because he
it
doesn't want to fast.
Jacob, what about me?
You too. I gave up on. You're so busy with your shul.
Hello, why can't we?
You wanna see where I am?
Sunday.
People that are always missing it.
I'm right now, Jacob. I'm right now on the roof of a mikvah.
That's a weird place to
Good.
be.
Not if you build mikvahs.
I thought you were saying it's already in use.
Gishma.
No, we're collecting
Um,
rainwater. Hopefully.
No, but
tonight.
parents, they want to
see
get
that
out of
on
the
the
fast.
covered.
They want to get out of the fast.
Right.
What fast?
Erev Rosh Hashanah till
Erev Rosh
Chatzos.
Hashanah.
Okay. So you want to do it Sunday morning?
Or
Monday
Sunday
Or
night.
Shabbos?
Monday morning.
Monday morning.
Monday morning.
Breakfast.
Hey, where
Breakfast
are
right
you?
after Slichas.
I'm 5 minutes away.
I thought you were on 10 after 9.
And after 9 to Shalom until, you know what I mean? He was at a thing.
You went.
I went to Shalom first. You wanted to go to
thought we-
Shalom?
No, but I was going to go to Stroil, so Stroil's near Shalom.
Oh, I don't know. What's the difference? It's all the same thing. I just figured Shalom may go to sleep.
Oh,
Huh?
okay. All right. All good.
All right.
I'll see you in 3 minutes.
Tsiyankiv. When you see Yisroel, tell him you miss him on the daf.
I will tell him. You'll tell him
Thank
yourself. You're going to see him on Yom Tov. Aren't you
I
going to see him on
will.
Yom Tov?
Yeah, the more the merrier, though. All righty. Yashikayach.
All right.